What if I told you that in South Africa, someone can break into your property, build a shack, call it home, and you, the actual owner, could get taken to court for trying to stop them? Sound like a bad joke? It's not. It's the law, and it's happening everywhere in South Africa. And in one case, it wiped out an entire raceway in just 1 week. This is the story of the Tygerberg Raceway and the law that made the destruction not just possible, but legal. Let me take you back to July 2020, Cape Town, Tygerberg Raceway, a motorsport landmark, a space where families gathered, young racers trained, and the local economy thrived. Then, out of nowhere, boom, a land invasion. Hundreds of people moved in. Tents, shacks, barricades, petrol bombs were thrown, security guards were attacked, and the owners left helpless. Law enforcement nowhere to be seen, and the politicians silent. Within 7 days, the entire racetrack was gone. Just like that, 20 years of history wiped off the map. Who was held accountable? No one. In fact, the law protected the invaders. The real villain? The Prevention of Illegal Eviction from and Unlawful Occupation of Land Act, or the PI Act. I know, it's a bit of a oxymoron. Now let's talk about this PI Act, because this isn't just a story about one racetrack. This is about every property owner in South Africa. The PI Act was created in 1998, supposedly to stop unfair apartheid-era evictions. Fair enough. No one wants people being kicked out onto the streets unfairly. But here's the kicker. Today, it's being used as a shield for land invaders, and it's become one of the most dangerous tools in the hands of syndicates, opportunists, and even politicians. Let me give you 3 absurd reasons as to why this act is dangerous. First point, you can't evict without a court order. That's right. Even if someone breaks into your land today, pitches a tent, builds a shack, and starts selling snacks outside your house, you can't just tell them to leave. You have to go to court, you have to pay lawyers, and sometimes you have to wait months, sometimes years. And in the meantime, the land invaders get to stay. They get access to your water, electricity, and resources. You have to fit the legal bill. A second point is where it gets really wild. If the invaders include children, pregnant women, elderly, or basically anyone who ticks the vulnerable box, the court might refuse to evict them altogether. Even if they arrived yesterday, even if they were sent there by syndicates, and even if they were encouraged by political actors to settle the land or on the land, the court logic is, where would they go? As if that's your problem. As if you invaded their property. And the third point I want to bring up, it's not the only point, but it's also an absurd one, and you might want to hold on to your blood pressure for this one, because in some cases, the court could order that you, the owner, provide alternative accommodation to the illegal occupiers. Yeah. Let me repeat that. You worked, you saved, you bought the land. Someone invades it, and the government says, well, since you have resources, maybe you should help fix the housing crisis. How's that for flipping justice on its head?
In the case of the city, and in the case of many private landowners, where the city is then cited as a respondent, before we may then apply for that eviction application, we have to offer the occupiers alternative accommodation. So now we have to offer accommodation to all these persons. And what you are really doing by that is incentivizing more people to queue jump, to occupy land illegally.
Now, if you're wondering, how did it come to this? Well, here's what I uncovered in the documentary Stolen Ground. 1, there are political networks that turn a blind eye to these invaders. 2, syndicates that sell off plots of land illegally. And 3, government policies that incentivize occupation over legal ownership. This isn't just law gone wrong. This is ideology weaponized through legislation. And you, the tax-paying citizen, are the casualty.
What happens in practice is that it can cost hundreds of thousands of rands to conduct an eviction, which must be done through the sheriff, and long delays in court processes and the expense of hiring lawyers, often under circumstances where it's impossible to recover the costs.
So maybe you don't own land. Maybe you rent. Maybe you think this doesn't affect me at all. But the truth is, it does. Because when property rights collapse, so does development, and so does trust in the system. And that means fewer jobs, fewer opportunities, and less hope. What happened at the Tygerberg Raceway is a tragedy. And the PI Act? It's not protecting the poor, it's trapping them in permanent squatter settlements and punishing those trying to build. If you want to understand the story fully, the politics, the laws, the human cost, I made a documentary that goes deep into all of it. It's called Stolen Ground, the Tygerberg Raceway Story. The link is in the description. Please watch it, share it far and wide. Share it with your grannies, with your groups, with the social media groups, everywhere you can possibly think of, because every South African needs to know about this. And until we fix laws like the PI Act, South Africans will keep losing what they built, and criminals will keep calling it home. So please, share this documentary far, far and wide. Even this video, share it far, far and wide. If you haven't yet subscribed to Truth Report, leave a like on this video. And don't forget to also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that being said, your Truth Report is in.